Man, this says a lot about a lot of things in this country. There was pro-Israeli demonstrators and anti-Israeli demonstrators, and at one point, they were both chanting, "Fuck Joe Biden." And they said he couldn't unite America, huh, ladies and gentlemen? That's not a good sign for the election.
Well, probably not the unification he was hoping for. Hey fam, welcome and welcome back to One and Done. Today the Spew is back and they have Jen Psaki on the soft couch. Now they do ask her some relevant questions and some of her answers don't necessarily align with Biden and the White House. And we have a mashup with the five. Judge Jeanine and Jesse Waters sum things up between Trump and Biden perfectly. Now, before we dive in, if you want to help a brother out, help me get to that 1,000 sub club. Don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, share this video far and wide, and without delay, folks, let's roll that tape.
Operation Old Man is a go. The White House is still cooking up new ways to hide or minimize President Joe Biden's advanced 81-year-old age. But it appears to be backfiring as Americans give another scathing assessment of his fitness for office. According to the latest survey, an overwhelming 81% say Joe Biden is too old for another term. We already know how his staff gives Joe the shorter staircase for him to board Air Force One, how they deploy an army of aides to hide his shuffling, and who can forget how they lace up the president in anti-slip sneakers as a way to prevent embarrassing falls. And now Team Biden is admitting that they police how many words the man can say.
The campaign is looking to shorten its speeches. Biden's general election strategy is less is more. The president's aides are seeking to tighten his pitch to voters with shorter, crisper speeches.
Our campaign believes in quality over quantity. We believe that these touches, these smaller things that are getting directly to the point about what is going on in the stakes of this election are going to be easier for voters to tap into.
This is pure gaslighting. Joe Biden is not fit to run for president. He's not fit to be president. He shouldn't have ever been president. He's already run twice before and lost. He controversially won the 2020 election. Somehow got 15 million more votes than Barack Obama. Now, come on. Who are we trying to kid? And now the young votes, the people that were supporting him before, are uniting to call him Genocide Joe. Now, what sort of impact is this going to have on his campaign? The Spew had Jen Psaki on to explain.
How much of a hazard is this issue for Biden in terms of his re-election chances?
Well, let me first say, I spent a lot of time in other countries, not North Korea, but where peaceful protest is not allowed. Mm-hmm. And it is allowed in this country. And that is a tremendous, amazing thing. And I was very pleased to see the president go out and make a statement to convey that on Thursday. I think we don't know the political impact at this point. What we're seeing is students who are, most of these protests are peaceful. There are some cases where they are not. There are cases of anti-Semitism. There are cases where people are screaming things like from the river to the sea, perhaps because they're not informed about how offensive that statement is. They're not all monolithic. Right. Yeah. The political impact, I think we don't know yet, Sunny. And what I will say, though, is if you're sitting on the campaign, you're very mindful of this. You see the passion of these students.
Now, where have we heard this before? Mostly peaceful protests. The double standard is amazing, but something we definitely should have come to expect from these numpties. And they don't know what the political impact is going to be? Well, they should know. If they're running the White House and they're showing leadership, they should know what the impact's going to be. And it just displays how out of touch they are.
You also, though, look at things like there was a Harvard University poll recently, which actually I was quite surprised by. I was too. Because the number one issue for young people was the economy and housing and the cost of living. And if you're in the campaign, you have to, he's president. He should speak to it. He's speaking at Morehouse. I think that's the right choice. But you also have to be mindful of what is on the minds of young people. And it is the cost of living, entering the working world, how it's so hard to rent an apartment.
Young voters.
Young voters. And I think they're thinking quite a bit about that. But it has to be front and center for you on a campaign.
Once again, it just shows how out of touch they are. They have to think more about it. How much time do they need to think about it? They should have known this before they went into office. Joe Biden has screwed the economy up. And the tax breaks that Donald Trump put in place to help the middle class is about to run out. And Joe Biden's been going around saying, oh, we're not putting in any new taxes. But the Trump tax breaks are about to run out and things are about to get even worse. Now, Joe Biden tried to buy the young voters with the student loan forgiveness. And what happens when you give privileged people something for nothing? They take it and they keep it moving.
Joe's old press secretary, Jen Psaki, says Biden should actually shun more traditional media interviews and have his ego stroked by media sycophants like Howard Stern.
What would your advice be to the White House in terms of his accessibility to press?
My view is he should come on The View before he does a press conference. Because he should, because people want to have real conversations about issues that are happening. I think press conferences are important, but I also think him doing Howard Stern, that's an interview that reached a broader audience of people. Him talking to the guys from Smartless, which is a great podcast.
I love that.
But the Trump campaign thinks the more Trump, the better. The former president revving up supporters at this year's Formula One Miami Grand Prix.
Look at the two campaign strategies. The less you see of Biden, the better, and the more you see of Trump, the better. Trump is the most transparent of the two candidates. That's hands down. Now, Joe Biden can't go out in public without being screamed and yelled at, called Genocide Joe, amongst many other things. Now, Trump is extremely humorous. People just love him. They gather around him. He is funny. Now, Biden, on the other hand, the cannibals from New Guinea claim that the Bidens don't have a funny bone in their body. And just like the rest of us, the Bidens left a funny taste in their mouth.
And in addition to young people, polls are also showing President Biden with softer support from African Americans and Latino voters compared to 2020. That's despite Trump pledging to round up 11 million undocumented immigrants and seeming to be more worried about anti-white discrimination than any other racism.
Do you notice the change in language? Softer support from the Black and Hispanic community. No, they're turning away from Biden. They are not going to vote for Biden. It doesn't make sense for them. They're turning towards Trump for prosperity and peace. And once again, so out of touch, talking about Trump wanting to deport 11 million illegal aliens. That's another reason why he's so popular. People have had enough of these people coming in, undocumented, not going through the legal channels to seek asylum, and these numpties can't separate the two. They are two different things. Asylum seekers and illegal aliens.
You've worked in campaigns and administrations that had Latino and African American support. What do you think Biden should be doing right now?
I mean, first of all, some of these things bend your mind. So let me just acknowledge that. I mean, it bends my mind sometimes that more white women voted for Trump than Biden. It's like, come on, people, what are we doing out here? There's a lot at stake. I will say, Anna, that this is one of the topics I think that's probably front and center for the campaign because they are they know that young voters, also voters of color, could stay home. They may not go out and vote for Trump, but they may not come out and vote for Biden. And if you're on the campaign, what you have to do, and they're focused on doing, but they need to do more of, is make the choice very clear.
Now, if anyone's making the choice clear, it's definitely Trump. It's night and day. Biden has caused absolute chaos since he's been in office. And the sad thing is he's not even aware of it. He keeps getting wheeled out, pushed out, and they're not even trying to hide the corruption anymore. Have a look at Biden. He is so weak, fragile, and frail. Look at Trump. Trump is a boss. He's a man of the people. People love him. He's putting up the fight. He's not kowtowing to these clowns, the deep state swamp creatures. People are seeing the fight in him. They're seeing the dog in him. This is someone that they feel can represent them. And you know what? He's represented them before, and they were better off. That's what they see.
Is Joe Biden perfect? No, he's not perfect, right? Of course he's not. Has he gotten everything done? No, he hasn't. But he's got to convince people he's going to be the one fighting for them. And the other guy is fighting for himself, pretty much. That's the message. Has it worked effectively entirely yet? No. They've got a lot of work to do. Why is there a divide? I don't know the answer to that question because, and I think part of it is that the choice is not quite clear yet between the candidates, and the stakes people need to be reminded of the stakes of the. We all talk about politics all the time. You all do. It's not front and center yet for people. It will be in the coming months.
Yeah, what is at stake? Look behind you. Look in the rear vision mirror. The last three and a half years have been absolutely horrific. under Joe Biden. It's all smoke and mirrors and propaganda. Orange man bad. But when you look at the state of affairs worldwide and in the USA, everything is in turmoil. Zero leadership. Foreign leaders won't even pick up the phone when Joe Biden rings. He is a joke. All these foreign leaders are happy to go rogue because there's no consequences under Biden. Why do you think they all want Biden to stay in office, stay in power?
Isn't Joe Biden's campaign admitting that Joe Biden is incapable of campaigning the way a president should?
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats have gagged both candidates. They won't let Trump talk because he tells the truth, and won't let Biden talk because he tells stories about his uncle being eaten by cannibals. This worked, they think, because in COVID, it made Biden look safe, and it made Trump look reckless, and it made the whole election more of a referendum on Trump and not a choice. But when you're president, you can't be kept away from crowds. You can't be kept to 6-minute scripted speeches to the camera. You're just going to look like a brittle, detached king afraid to face his subjects. So Trump goes out to Formula One. That takes courage, takes confidence, it takes a certain level of energy and relatability. And if Joe Biden went there, the risk would be too high. He could trip. He could get booed. He couldn't hear a thing. And if you ask me, in terms of voters being able to tap into something, I think it's more effective to see someone being able to work a crowd or a crowd work a guy than to just read something off of a script that a consultant wrote for you and then leave. American people see Donald Trump running for president and Joe Biden running scared. He's not even in control of his own campaign. He wants to talk. He wants to talk all day, and they won't let him. He's not even allowed to walk where he's supposed to walk. Trump can walk wherever he wants, can say whatever he wants. Joe Biden can't do either. Right. And now you realize why he's down in the polls. It's because everybody is realizing that Trump is more appealing, and he's eating away at Joe Biden's base. He's now ahead in both the 538 battlegrounds and the Real Clear Politics. Harold?
Just drop the mic. Just drop the mic, Jesse. It's like chalk and cheese. The White House looking more and more every day like a, a old folks home. Dementia Joe is mumbling and stumbling through his presidency. This is like watching a car crash in slow motion.
Biden administration has undeniably accomplished a lot in the last 3 years. When you look at employment numbers, infrastructure, gun reform, even things like bringing down drug prices, going after junk fees. But in the polls, you know, with inflation, the protests, the age issue, all of the things, we're seeing a closer race than you'd expect. Is there something here that could be done in messaging? Like, what is the disconnect from that information and the way it's landing or not?
Oh boy, I would love to give Biden a message. And hopefully people will come to their senses and realize that Jim Crow Joe just has to go. Weekend at Bernie's has to end. Put him and everybody else out of misery and retire his butt. Let the big dog back in the White House. There's only one person that can get this country and the world back on track. And it's not even close. And this woman, whoever she is gaslighting her viewers something chronic. The list she just listed off was smoke and mirrors, claiming he's created more jobs than Donald Trump. It's simply just BS. All he's done is handed out government contracts for this Build Back Better project. So it's not private companies investing in business and investing in workers. It's the government handing out more money. It's more spending. The biggest employer on Joe Biden's watch is the government. Like I said, smoke and mirrors.
Well, one of the challenges, and I will say people don't always recognize this in government, as Alyssa knows, everybody in government, they love data and spreadsheets and, you know, pages and reams of bureaucratic talking points. People don't make decisions by you telling them how they should feel about the economy. They make decisions about how they feel and how they feel about things. There are some. The data has been improving on the economy, including inflation numbers by and large. But the cost of housing is still too high. People still have student loans they're paying back. It is still, costs of groceries are still higher than they need to be. So people are still feeling those things. And it's acknowledging that and acknowledging that that's important. You know, Joe Biden always says, he's not the first to say this, but he says, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. Right. And that's really the message,
The alternative is bad.
The alternative
is bad.
Pretty dark. And on the economy, what I expect is they'll continue to harden that argument.
Wowza. These people are so out of touch, it's not funny. Now, I agree with some of the things that Jen Psaki said there, but they don't align with the White House or Joe Biden. Like I said before, they've had 3.5 years to get this right. In fact, if Trump was so bad, they had 7.5 years to get things right. Because they would have looked at what Donald Trump had done, and they would have tried to improve on that, correct? They've made things 10 times worse. Now, how can this guy, right? How can Joe Biden, at 82 years old, on one hand, not be capable of being criminally tried for holding documents, highly confidential documents, this guy that was never president when he collected these documents, not fit to stand trial for that. But on the other hand, he's fit to run the White House and run the government. How can these two go together? And what's happened with these, the Trump documents? They've gone super quiet on this because it's all been rigged. Evidence has come out that Jack Smith, FBI, and everybody else involved have been doing some sneaky shenanigans. And this Stormy Daniels thing, this is an absolute joke. That judge, he has to step down. His daughter's raised millions for the Democrats and doing it by calling out Donald Trump. And this judge has put a gag order on him, which is another joke. Is this a setup? Because Trump, it's $1,000 for every time he breaks this gag order. Trump's gone through that before he puts his slippers on in the morning. It's almost like he wants Trump to breach this gag order, and then he's come out and threatened him that the next step is he's going to go to jail. Now, he may have dug himself a little bit of a hole here, because Trump may give him what he wants, but does he really want that? Because you think Trump's popular now, wait till he goes to jail. He's going to be Tupac and Biggie rolled up in one. And just write him into another 300 rap songs, why don't you? Anyway, that's it from me, folks. Let me know what you think in the comments. As usual, I'll jump in there and respond. Now, if you want to help a brother out, help this channel grow, help me get to that 1,000 sub club, don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next video.